Welcome back to the Hell Inspired Podcast. This week we got my guy, Carlos Barksdale with Glory by Us. What's up, Carlos?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Definitely appreciate you coming. You got that intro from Scooter. Scooter knows everybody on this earth.
Yeah, that's the man, bro. That's the man. Scooter's also from Memphis with me, so we got the
Yeah,
Memphis connection here in New York.
that
So,
part.
but that's the homie now.
Definitely. So let's get into it. So your journey started in Memphis.
hmm
How did growing up in Memphis shape your views on like grooming and self care? And how did your mom, Vickie, play a part in that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I probably start with my mom. That's kind of where it began. Like, my journey. I've always kind of been like known for my hair. In my family and like in school. But it started with my mom. Like she would brush my hair every morning before school. Tie my do rag every night before bed. Literally every week, brush sessions in the bathroom, kneel between her legs, like brushing my hair. I'm saying, to the
Yeah,
point where I would have headaches. She put the wave grease in, brush my hair for
yeah.
like 10, 15, 20 minutes, do rag
Mhm.
on. And she had my waves like really on point for real, bro. And so like, she really just kind of taught me just the importance of like grooming and taking care of yourself, right? It's
Mhm.
honestly always been like a big tenet of my family. It's like just taking care of yourself, looking presentable, like looking clean, looking good. And so growing up in Memphis, man, my family, we come from like we originate from Mississippi, like my grandparents and things of that nature. So for them, they were just really principle driven, right? And being like
Okay.
well groomed, being put together, having your clothes ironed before you like left the house. I think also too like a bit of like politics is like being like a young black man in the South, right? Or being black
Yeah.
period. You know what I'm saying? Making sure
Hmm.
that you like look presentable and you like, weren't, didn't attract any kind of negative attention, things of that nature. Definitely my grandparents kind of like, instilled that in us. So that all kind of played a part in it, right? But my mom kind of brought it home. I was with her every day, for the most part. So, she was the one that really like locking in with me, kind of get my hair, my waves right, in that journey. So I created like my consistency and like my dedication to like my hair, like my care for it, definitely to my mom and to like largest to my family.
Hmm.
Um, I think in terms of Memphis though, swag, style. You go to
Hmm.
Memphis, it's a lot of like, fades with the waves, and it's a lot of like guys who got, go to the barbershop every week.
Yeah.
Style and culture and having your appearance together is definitely a big thing in Memphis, and it was growing up. From elementary to middle school to high school, you want to make sure you was on point. And so I think Memphis just kind of shaped like my swag and my aesthetic, especially when it came to storytelling with the brand. Right? It's like
Okay.
I think the best brands are kind of based in a story, like in like someone's a real life. And
Definitely.
mine is growing up in Memphis. I was going to barbershop every day. Oh, or every week rather. My mom was brushing my hair every week and every day. My grandma was giving us values, and like that's my story. And so that's why I kind of try to build into glory.
Definitely. And you talk about the barbershop. I want you to
Yeah.
speak a little bit more on that because I know when I go to my barber, it's kind of like free therapy. Like I
Mm.
go just for a cut and I leave out of there with some free game every time. Me and my barber talk about like $1 million plays every single time. So it's always walk out with a cut and some inspiration. So I want you to
Yeah.
speak a little bit more about how like the barbershop got you right too.
Yeah, man. My barbershop experience was like definitely one of the most impactful in my life. Um,
Yeah.
I went to the barbershop every week. So I think a lot of people
Yeah.
probably went like every 2 weeks. Like my mom took me every single week. So I saw my barber more than I saw some of my family members just over time. Seriously, like if that's just
Yeah.
what it was. I had the same barber from the time I was like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, so yeah, that's family.
right up until I left for college, and even when I would come back home, he would cut my hair. Mr. Gooden, shout out Mr. Gooden. He actually passed in 2015, but Mr. Gooden, like for me, I really grew up in a barbershop. Like I went from being like, just a kid, just getting my haircut running in and out to being, in high school and college and actually talking, back to people in the barbershop, contributing my own ideas, kind of holding my own weight in the conversations, right?
Yeah.
Even giving them advice sometimes. And so that was interesting to kind of like navigate as a young, man in that male dominated space.
Yeah.
Even staying at the barbershop without my mom for the first few times, just being there by myself, right? I think it just kind of like taught me to just to grow up and just kind of have trust, like my own voice, my own opinion, and then of course like my own like style, like my own like aesthetic. Well, when I started giving my barber instructions myself as opposed to my mom, it's kind of like when you in school and you start doing
Mhm.
your homework by yourself instead of your mom helping you, your parents helping you. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a
it's like
switch. Yeah,
you switching up, you're growing up, you're developing, and so like that really happened for me in a barbershop. And Mr. Gooden and his cousin Lil Head, like they were instrumental in my lives. Mr. Gooden was like another father to me,
yeah,
just kind of like giving me advice, you know what I'm saying? But just talking to me, just in
exactly.
general, just holding conversation. It's funny because Mr. Gooden cut out a lot of my family members' hair, like heads in over the years. Like my granddad, my grandma, actually, she had short hair, or shorter hair, like later on in her life, and then even my cousins and my uncles sometimes. So, he kind of like touched all of us, so he knew us. So it really was
Yeah,
like family. So man, yeah, I was dedicated to Mr. Good. He was dedicated to me. He gave me some of the best haircuts of my life to this day. Um, yeah, man, I miss him, and that's kind of the first place to kind of grow up and kind of hold my own voice. So yeah, man,
exactly.
I grew up there for real.
That part. And you talked about you going off to college. I know when I got to college, it was hard because, like, man, because I had waves from like ninth grade all the way to 12th grade, and then I started growing. I
Mm.
mean, ninth grade all the way to like the end of my first year of college. So that
Mhm.
whole first year, like you said, you got to go every week because the short hair goes back fast.
Yeah.
So finding a new barber was hard for me. And then I went to this one barber I really rocked with, and then he started trying to charge me like $50 a cut as a freshman in
Sheesh.
college. I'm like, bro, come on now, you
And what
tripping.
city?
In Atlanta,
I use Atlanta. Okay, yeah, they be doing that. Y'all be playing out there. And we're gonna
man,
talk about that too, about these barbers charging these crazy ass prices for these
man,
subpar. The barber industry is gonna be disrupted. I think in the next like 5 years. But
hopefully,
we'll get to
yeah,
that later. That's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. But yeah,
Yeah.
so how was that getting in college? Like, did you start learning to cut your own hair? Did you find you some friends that knew how to cut?
Man, before I left, I remember like Mr. Gooden was teaching me how to cut hair a little bit so I can like do it for myself and for others to make money on campus. But it just wasn't it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have time, and like also I gotta be like crispy, you know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
come from
that part.
Memphis,
Yeah,
I went to school in New York, I'm at Columbia, I got a rep for the M, and I mean I was polo from head to toe, so
yeah,
my haircut couldn't be lacking. New York is different, bro. It's just
yeah.
super different, especially from Memphis. Or maybe Memphis is different from New York. It's like a lot of like different cultures and people. Um, so yeah, I started going there to some African dudes or and like Caribbean dudes like in the barbershop, and they were cool. But every week, period. Every Friday I'm in there. Thursday actually, every Thursday I'm in there, bro.
And what year was this, and what was the price?
So I started college in 2010.
Okay.
I was paying like I want to say I was paying like 15 to 20.
See, that's smooth. That's yeah.
Yeah, but I was also very like stringent on that. Like I wasn't going over that anyway. So if you want to cut my
Yeah,
hair, you have to go for the
yeah.
20 or
You
the
got
15.
it.
Like
That
you
part.
know what I'm saying? I'm in college. I remember they tried to like go up to me on me one time, uh, like to like 25 or something. I was just like, no.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I mean, obviously now, you know what I'm saying, I get them right. But back then, it's like, man, nah, I'm
yeah.
here every week. I'm your most consistent customer. They got to count for something first of all,
Exactly.
So I ain't got much. I didn't have facial hair back then. I didn't. I'm coming in every week, like get a quick fade, line up, just go over the top. Make me clean, bro, and I'm out of here. Yeah, it was a journey though. Like I started with those guys, and then I found like this Dominican barbershop. That's a whole other section of barbershop. What I'm saying, discovery here in New York is like you got different factions of barber like groups you can go to in New York, which is different. You know what I'm saying? And they cut hair different. You kind of got like yo, like black and Africans. You
Hmm.
kind of got like your Dominicans. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got something else, but like those are the two biggest ones. You kind of navigate in between different
Hmm.
price points, different cutting styles, and then like now you have these like more like elite kind of like Instagram celebrity barbers charging
Yeah,
whatever a head that's here
yeah.
now. Much respect to them too. I don't go to them, pretty much ever, but you know, it's the barbershop market here in New York is like very like broad. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Yeah.
spectrum. In Memphis, it wasn't so much. Like you find your barber, similar prices. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of who you trust. But when I got to New York, it's an actual, segmented market where you got like kind of like search and find for the right one for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So before you started Glory, you started Luya. Am I
Yeah.
pronouncing that right?
Yep. Luya,
Luya.
like hallelujah.
Luya. Okay. Which was a marketplace for healthy black skincare brands.
Skin, hair, and body.
Okay, skin, hair, and body brands. Okay. So what was the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, really what happened, man, is that I grew my hair out for the first time. Um,
Okay.
Not for the first time, but I grew my hair out after I graduated like 2015. And I was like learning a lot about my hair, but I was discovering that there was a lot I didn't like know about my hair and how to take care
Mhm.
of it.
Yeah.
uh, like conditioning and how much I should shampoo and that kind of like went into like skin care and general body care. And I was like, I kind of got to a place where I thought I had like a good routine of products, you know what I'm saying, from the supply store.
Hmm.
I was getting a lot of advice like from my friends, especially my homegirls.
Every time, yeah.
Uh,
That's all I take advice for when it comes to the hair.
yeah, of course, like that's been a source, and we'll talk about that too. But I was buying from these brands that I thought were like good and healthy, but I looked at the ingredients and I couldn't
Hmm.
pronounce anything. And I did some research and I saw all these studies that were linking like black hair products or like products that are marketed towards black people. Let me be clear: products that are marketed towards black people linked to like skin irritation, hair loss, illness, even cancer. And I was like, man, this my hair don't feel right, and then this isn't good for me. And
Exactly.
so, but I was also having a hard time finding like black owned brands that made like good hair, like hair and skin products. Um, and when I would find them, they were all over the place. So I'm like, man, it should be easier to find like just healthy black owned brands for skin, hair, and body. And I was
Yeah.
talking to friends, they were kind of having the same issues. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just build something to do it. And like, really, that was just driven by a passion for me, making sure Black folks had access and easier access rather to healthy Black-owned brands, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Easier access, also just like more information about like why it's important. What you put on your body goes in your body. Like that's just a fact. Our skin is a huge organ in our body, and I think that we really just overlook, you know, the products that we use in our skin, hair, and body from a health perspective and how they actually affect our health because they do. We use them every day. You know,
Exactly.
it's probably the most consistent thing, you know, about us besides the food that we eat. So
Mhm.
I was passionate about it, man. And like Louis was kind of that solution for me and for my community to, again, provide education as well as access to those products.
Okay. And what was your biggest lesson you learned from Luya?
Biggest lesson, in terms of what, like from like a personal care perspective or business or what?
From a business perspective, just like starting it up, getting different brands on there.
Yeah, man, I would say like I learned to just like get shit done.
Okay.
Like not make excuses. What I mean by that is like I didn't wait till I start building the company until I had like this perfect pitch deck or the perfect website or my full thing ready to go. As a matter of fact, my first like four brands that committed, they committed without me having a website or
Yeah.
a deck. I just emailed them, got on a phone call. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm building. Do you want to be a part of it?
They believed
They're
in the
like,
story.
yeah, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, like for sure. It's funny. One of those brands is Creole Essence. They were on Shark Tank a couple years ago. Like they're huge now, but I tapped, in with them back in like 2016, 20 maybe even earlier. Yeah, 2016. Before they kind of blew up, and it's just like, I just saw the importance of like, hey, if you're passionate about something, you can communicate it, then go for it. If you can sell it before you build it, then do that. And to an extent, I was doing that, right? They were signing on to me and like my platform to Luya literally before Luya had a website or domain. So
Yeah.
just do it, bro.
That part.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that Glory got its start by you searching and going down the rabbit hole of wave content online. So how did that go from a concept to an actual business?
Yeah, it's kind of like a two-way approach to like how I got to Glory. For one, I mentioned that I was having issues like finding products for my skin, hair, and body.
Yeah.
One of those things was like hair products, right? Especially for my
Mhm.
waves, like pomade and grease. And
Yeah.
so I grew up using Murray's, and 360 style, Blue Magic, all
Yeah.
this, terrible stuff for your hair. I took that on to college, and my hair was starting to feel like gray, and it was starting to like look gray and feel just like off, and it was changing. I'm like, this isn't good for my hair. So I went on like a 4-year hiatus without buying a pomade because I just couldn't find one that was like healthy and worked right. I tried some here and there that were kind of like healthy, but they just weren't effective. And so for
Okay.
one, I just had a gap in my own like grooming like regimen where I just couldn't, find a pomade that worked for me in my hair that was healthy. I was using more oils, but of course that don't like lay your hair down, So,
Yeah.
after 2 weeks, my hair was like looking like, a little crazy.
Mhm.
So that was one thing. I think when it comes to like the wave content, yeah, man, I was on social media scrolling, like just looking at like grooming content or, around black folks. And I came across like, wave content. It was
Yeah.
like, guys like brushing their hair, taking the do-rags off, like the whole wave check,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
meetups. And I'm like,
Mhm.
man, like this is a whole like online community. I'm talking about videos, Facebook groups, Instagram pages dedicated to waves. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like I've had waves my entire life, but I didn't like know there was this whole online community that has like instructional videos and their own like vocabulary and like influences like within the wave community and
Yeah.
meetups. And
Like real impact. Cool.
I was fascinated. And so, the more I dug though, I just kind of started like noticing like a few trends. Like one thing was as I looked at the videos, the different guys were all using different stuff.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like a consistency of products amongst the different influencers. Some
Mhm.
guys are using, the products from this supply store like Murray's and 360 Style. Some guys are making stuff at home. Some are giving products that their girlfriend gave them, like, I'm gonna use this. So I'm like, that's interesting. And then I think what I also saw was that there there were like no healthy options that were apparent,
Yeah.
right? To the point where they would openly admit, like, yo, this pomade ain't good for your hair, but it worked. Like, there's a video by 360 Jeezy where he's like doing like a brush session. And he's like, using a pomade. He's like, we about to do a brush session. I'm using this pomade. And he says in the video, point blank, this pomade is not good for your hair. It's, it got bad ingredients, but it worked. All right, let's go. I'm like, yo, that's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I wanted Lord to fill that gap, for me and for others. Like I wanted something healthy, something was effective, and something that was like also like well branded and spoke to me, right? So I kind of saw three kind of
Exactly.
major issues, right? That we have these grooming products, in our cabinets, in our bathrooms, but how many of them actually speak to us as black men, right?
That
Actually
part. Yeah.
affect our image, actually aren't corny and healthy. And so
Mhm.
I saw an opportunity to create a brand that was like, for one, healthy, that two, like caters like our needs, and then three was actually like designed and branded in a way that kind of resonated like with our consumer and buying habits.
Exactly. What was that first step with Glory by Us to like doing research and finding the right products and actually taking that time and effort to flip that?
Yeah, so for me, it was admittedly like a bit easier. From
Okay.
Aluya, I had one of like the brands that I worked that was on my platform. One of the owners of those brands, he and I became really close. So
Yeah.
we became like, he almost came out like a big brother to me in a way. And he kind of helped me develop my formulas and kind of put it together. I gave him, hey, here's what I want to do, here's how I want to
Mhm.
feel, here's like what we need. And he kind of helped me bring it together. So that was admittedly the easier part for me. Initially, now it's a little different.
Yeah.
The harder part was actually building the brand itself, like the logo, the color scheme, like what was the ethos and language of the brand going to be,
Yeah.
and kind of putting that into like a succinct kind of like format, if you will, that I can like replicate over time. When it comes to beauty and grooming, it's maybe the only space where black people will purchase from other black people unapologetically.
Yeah. Facts.
Um, like that and like Jamaican restaurants for some reason, right? Like like
Yeah.
but
Hey,
like
yeah, my Jamaican spot in Atlanta, yeah. Yeah.
but
You're right.
it's like the one spot, it's like the one space where it's like we will pay a premium for this black
Yeah.
produced product because we feel like it caters
Mhm.
to our needs, and it does. And I can't think of
Exactly.
many other spaces like where that's the case. And so, I was even more intrigued just like by that fact. Like it was true for me, it's true for others. Like how many times have you guys gone to like some kind of like street market, and there's a woman selling like shea
Mhm.
butter for having much money, and like your mom or your aunt, and you stop and you can pay that money because oh, like no, this came from auntie, this
Yeah.
came from uncle,
And you
like
don't
this
have any question.
like, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just like, and it does work. So I was actually encouraged by that.
And how do you take time out to educate your community and educate the fans of Glory Bias on how to stay healthy in terms of skincare and hair?
Yeah, man, I think a large part of it is like social media, right? Just making sure we
Okay.
throw in like those like suggestions and like that information into our social media posts, things of that nature. But I think the biggest thing is like talking in community, and that's one thing I'm trying to lean more into is
Mhm.
bringing Black men especially together to talk to each other about like their hair, and their hair journey. It's something that I found to be super intriguing the past like several years of just going to barbershops and just talking to guys about their hair and just open up the conversation. And I think you would think that guys wouldn't have a perspective or they wouldn't care, they wouldn't want to talk about it. But man, I've had so many guys across the board open up and just have these very open, free flowing, honest conversations about their hair. And it's just like, man, like, okay, we obviously miss that growing up. Like we don't grow
Yeah.
up talking about our hair for real, like what I'm saying, how to take care of it. We
Mhm.
grow up, we grow up going to a barbershop, or
Facts.
our uncle, our dad, or our brother teaches how to get waves and how to brush our hair, put on a do rag. But when we
Exactly.
talk about how to take care of our hair for real,
Yeah.
like Black men, we don't. I think
Yeah.
the women and Black women, do a bit more for sure. I mean, we get all of our
Definitely.
education products from them, right? Naturally. So,
Yep. Hundred
but for us,
percent.
like, we just take what we given. Whatever our grandma gave us, whatever our mom gave us, we just get that. We get older. Oh, my
Yeah.
girlfriend gave me this. Oh, my wife gave me that. So now I use that. But we really aren't groomed to kind of have that kind of intention of seeking that information ourselves, of having our own space, to talk about our hair, and of course pursuing our own products. So it's a gap in the market. It's one that should have been filled a long time ago, but I'm here now. So,
Definitely. And what do you feel like is a specific challenge that you've had so far building Glory?
oh man, a specific challenge, man. Man, I'm having a challenge right now, quite frankly, of
Okay.
reproducing my products because the guy who I told you about, my who was working with me, he's kind of
Yeah.
like vamooshed, and I haven't heard from him in a while. So I've been in the kitchen, man, like cooking up batches, and that's not as easy as I thought it would be, quite frankly. So
Yeah.
that's been a big challenge. But I think initially, um, what I had to figure out was, you know, how to work my business model and how to make sure that it's profitable. What I mean by that is I'm really big on branding. I'm really big on the aesthetic. And so when I was
Mhm.
building Glory, I was looking at like brands that I admired, that I
Mhm.
want to buy
What'd you
from.
say
Not
your favorite brand like of all time is?
my favorite brand of all time, just
Yeah, just like
individually.
branding wise. Yeah.
I gotta say Ralph Lauren.
Ralph Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think, I
Definitely.
mean, he's being able to create a brand under Polo, and then other brands, other sub brands like Purple Label, Rugby, I
Yeah.
mean, double RL, right? The way that he can create a world, and bring the consumer into it. That's why he's the greatest American designer of all time. Like that's why he's going to be around for a long time, right? Like that's why Ralph Lauren
Definitely.
has never been like lame. It's never going out of style because
Yeah, never.
you know, he's been able to like build like a real world. So that's my favorite brand. But when I was building Glory, other brands I was looking at were like Supreme, Glossier, Nike, OVO, you know, I was looking at those brands, Kith, because I wanted to create a brand that resonated with what guys were already buying, right?
Yeah.
So my theory is that we are missing, like grooming is missing in the spaces where we already are, right? We
Yeah.
already go shop at the Kith, we already go to Foot Locker, we already go here to buy our stuff. We're not going to the beauty supply store. We're going to like Foot Locker to buy our stuff. So why isn't our beauty grooming products at Foot Locker? Why isn't
Exactly.
it fifth, right?
Yeah.
So I want to penetrate those stores where we already are, because
Hmm.
I think that like that's actually where the gap is. Like, let's put the products like where we already go.
Definitely. And I would say one of my favorite brands of all time is Marathon.
Okay.
Nip's brand, Nissy's
Oh
brand.
yeah.
I just like how like they really showed their entire process from when they first started all the way to now, and
Mm.
how the brand, like when you wear it, you feel like you're a part of the store, like you're a hustler, like you're on your marathon, you running your
Yeah.
laps. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really rock that. So yeah, we
No.
talked a little bit about the branding side.
Yeah.
So on the back end, the business side, how has it been as far as like inventory? Like knowing how to buy the right amount of brushes, knowing how to buy the right amount of soaps, knowing how to
Yeah.
buy the right amount of pomade, getting it in times, talking to manufacturers. Um,
Yeah. I mean, that's been an interesting process. It's kind of a learning experience, right? I
mhm,
think when you're starting out as a product-based business, you want to start with like a lower MOQ, like a lower quantity,
mhm,
maybe like 50 to 100, and just make sure you can sell
yeah,
through those. How fast can you sell through those as you kind of scale up like your following? And that's what I was kind of missing in my last answer, was that I was looking at these other brands and like they were like influencing my branding, but I had to realize very quickly like I'm not a streetwear brand. I'm
yeah,
actually a hair care brand. I got to move bottles out the door. I got to move soap out the door. Otherwise it's not just enough to be cool. So I had to really like kind of like frame how I thought about glory by us, half a year into it, to be like, okay, like what are those metrics I need to be hitting? What should I be doing to activate, the marketing and branding and awareness around this brand, to educate my consumers enough to like convert those like black men into actual sales. So that
right,
was a huge change I made. In terms of like inventory, man, you gotta just like kind of experiment, right? I think again, for me, it's like starting like a low MOQ. I'm gonna start with like a first batch of 50 or 100. I'm gonna see how fast I can get through that. I'm gonna see what's actually selling too, and then I'm
exactly,
gonna like kind of like know from there, right? So if I
yeah,
get 100, pomades, and it take me, a month to get through it, or like let's say 2 months, I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's a long time for 100 pomades, right? Like
yeah,
to what do I need to like flick on, or what do I need to trigger to sell more in a short amount
mhm,
of time, right? Most likely it's going to be like up and up like your ad strategy, or it's going to be making sure you are going to more markets and selling, or just doing more social media posting in general, and like things of that nature. So it's someone still figuring out, quite frankly, but yeah, but you want to kind of figure out kind of what that turnover rate is for sure.
definitely. I would say glory by us isn't just about hair. I would say it's about like confidence, your identity,
Yeah.
and just staying fly. So, what message do you want people to resonate with while they're using your products?
Yeah, our core principles are commitment, consistency, and dedication. For
Okay.
me, again, it kind of began with with waves, and
Yeah.
when I was like looking at the content of like waivers, like you get guys who are brushing their hair for an hour a day, right?
Yeah.
You get guys who are scalping, going down to their scalp, cutting all their hair off just to reset their pattern and grow it back over
Yeah.
the course of like 6 months to reset their pattern. Um, like that takes a level of like dedication, to your craft, much like an athlete, So
Yeah.
I kind of saw it in like in that light. I'm like, we're athletes in a way,
Exactly.
right? We need the right tools and the right fuel in our bodies or in our hair to perform our best. And I just wasn't,
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing that. And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I want to communicate. Like, make sure you stay committed to the process, consistent, in your regimen, and dedicated to improvement. Right? If you an athlete, you a ball player, you in the gym, and those your principles. You committed
Definitely.
to the game, you consistent in your shot, you dedicated to getting better every day. And so
Facts.
I think when you look at glory, you kind of see this kind of like comparison or this like athletic kind of influence.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why, because I want to bring out the competitor in every one from the grooming perspective, right? And I want the products to perform just as much or just as hard as the person using it. If you're gonna be in the mirror for an hour a day brushing your hair, or you're gonna be growing your hair out and to get your curls right, once your barbershop spending 40, 50 a week, then your product should be performing and taking care of your hair on the back end, right? They shouldn't
Yeah.
be like acting against you, and like that hasn't been the case for us for a long time.
Yeah. Facts. And I see you just had your annual, what was it, a basketball tournament?
Yeah, we actually got rained out this past Sunday, so I actually scheduled
Uh,
it for. It's all good. Things happen, man. Like in
yeah.
entrepreneurship, things happen. But it's actually going to go down in 2 weeks, on Saturday, October 12th, here in Bed-Stuy.
How was that first year?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, man. So I was excited about the first year because it's like my brand launch event. For
Yeah.
me, I didn't want to have just another like brand party, with drinks and like music and at a club. I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of bring the brand to life and those ethos I just talked about. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, like, what do I really value as a person? What do I want the brand to stand for? And how do I want people to experience the brand, right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm creating a hair brand that's like built for Black men, I want to be able to bring in everybody, right? I think the
Yeah.
best brands are able to do that. Like even if you like don't like skateboard, like a Supreme T-shirt means something, right?
Fact.
Even if you like never been to like a polo game, or you never sat at like a jazz piano club, like you go buy a Ralph Lauren like button down, and it's like, okay, like this feels like something.
It
And
transcends whatever it was originally made for.
exactly. And I want Glory to do that from a hair care perspective. And so the basketball tournament was beautiful. It was great. It was in September. It was a nice, beautiful sunny day. We had a DJ, we had an MC on the mic, we had 4 basketball teams. We had
Yeah.
about 70 people come out and like watch and spectate. Um, and my boy Ike described it as a pure day of fun. And like that's
Okay.
the best way I could, that's the best thing I could ask for. We were there selling merch, obviously, hair
Yeah.
products, shirts, sweaters I had made as well. And so I think as a brand, like that's what I want to do. I want to give people experiences that are like unique, from a brand perspective, that are true to like my values and what I enjoy, and that are also just like like memorable, right? Like those players are gonna remember like the tournament. The folks who came and watched are gonna remember like the MC on the mic and playing on the court in between the games
Facts.
and cracking jokes, with the DJ and like the music. So it was beautiful, bro. And this year is gonna be better. It's gonna be
Okay.
more
You suiting
players.
up
It's gonna
this
be
year?
like more attendees. I don't know. I don't know.
Uh,
It's fun. I'm going to play ball after this interview, but
okay.
I play like twice a week. But
Yeah.
I kind of want to, but it's like I'm also just like playing host.
Okay.
So
Okay. I respect that. I respect that. It's not like you ducking, man. You're not ducking.
that's the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last question for you. What inspires you?
What inspires me?
Yeah.
Man, what inspires me is just like getting shit done. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I say that a lot to myself, and that's something that I try to practice like with myself, is making sure that I am the man who I think I am, and I do that by getting shit done. You know, um, I think a lot of people can make practice out of like having good ideas and talking a good talk, and for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, people think that like saying a good idea or saying the idea is like doing the work, and it quite
No.
literally isn't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can say you want to have a podcast and do interviews, but you got to go have the interview and find the guys and schedule it and follow through and
Exactly.
follow up even when they don't reply to their first message like you did, right?
Yeah.
You got to actually get it done, and like nothing matters more than getting it done to me, right? Like I
Yeah.
think about my mom and like my grandma, like they just got it done, man. Like my mom
Mm-hmm.
like worked 2 jobs, and she made sure I was in great schools, and got me to Columbia and to like these prep schools when I was in high school, and and my dad worked at FedEx and for like 20 years, and he's still working, and my grandparents just came from Mississippi and moved to Memphis and like raised 5 kids, and like they just like didn't make excuses, bro. Like, they just got it done. And so
Yeah.
for me, that's something that I just carried throughout my life, throughout especially my later years, high school, college, even when I pledged Alpha in college, and just doing that. Uh, every org I was a part of, and start these companies, bro. It's just like it's not enough to just say I want to go here, I want to do it. I got to actually do it, right?
Facts.
Um,
Yeah.
Difference between not doing it and doing it is doing it.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's just like
Night and day.
yeah, it's just to me, it's just like super black and white. And
Yeah.
so I'm inspired by folks who get shit done. Period.
Yeah.
Whether that's like starting a company, writing a book, making a song, man, doing a job very well, where you work, raising a kid, what I'm saying, having like a dope relationship and marriage and kind of being a person you say you are. Like if you getting it done, if you getting shit done, then you inspire me. So
Exactly. And I was just having a conversation with one of my homies today, just talking about how when you start something, it's always going to be a period where people don't see that's boring, that stuff, whole bunch of tedious stuff that you don't want to do at all. But if you want to get to the fun stuff or the exciting part or the success, you have to go through that boring part. And one thing my mom's always been telling me when I was young, I used to hate hearing it when I was young because I used to always have a lot of ideas. She like, all right. She said, don't let perfection be the enemy of good.
yeah.
And you just have to start and learn and get better along the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, something that I did with Luya, right? My first company, when I said brought those companies on without the day. And honestly, I credit that a lot to college. I studied engineering in school.
Yeah.
And one of the main things you learn is, when you're doing like a scientific experiment, it's like, lay out your options or your hypotheses, choose one, and then just try it. You know what I'm saying? Like what you think is the best case scenario.
Exactly.
And then I also minored in entrepreneurship, which like teaches you to like fail fast. So it's just like, man, I'm really thankful for engineering because it really taught me to just make a decision and just go with it. And experiment. And if it's not perfect, then cool. But if the MVP is working, then just keep building on a minimum viable product. But you cannot let perfection, limit you from making progress. You got to get started. I think about this all the time. Just so many great people who I talk to are like, yeah, I got this great idea and I want to build it, but I'm going to law school first. I'm like, what? You going to go to law school? Why?
Yeah.
3 years. You got to work for a couple years. And by that time,
you're going to forget.
White dude and, going to fumble his way for a year and a half, figure it out and be a multimillionaire by the time you just get started.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now, man, perfection isn't it. You got to, especially if you're creative, especially if you're creative, you type A, you got to get past it, man, just create and just start doing it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Carlos, I appreciate you for pulling up.
Yes, sir.
And y'all, everybody go tap into glorybias.com.
Glorybias.com. Yep.
Go get what you need.
Yes,
I'm not a waiver anymore, but I'm gonna send all the bros over there.
Oh no, listen, we send to everybody. We got the conditioners great for everybody. The shampoo bars are great for everybody. Even the pomade paste is good. And we're also launching a leave-in conditioner very soon. So we're launching the campaign around it. So if you are listening to this, please go tap into Glory by Us. We are Glory by Us everywhere, on social media, online as well. We're launching a large campaign very soon. And I could use as many eyeballs and support as possible. I recognize that a lot of our brothers are growing their hair out these days. And I want to make sure that I cater to all of us. So that leave-in conditioner and leave-in moisturizer is going to do wonders for us, open up our market. I'm excited for you guys all to try it, for real.
Okay, so I'm about to hit that website up right after this.
Yes, sir. Sign up. Subscribe to the email list.
Definitely. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right.
Peace.